All right, thank you very much for coming here. Thank you very much for your availability. I know it's been a very busy week for you, for sure. So thank you again. Thank you also for coming. There's definitely a lot of reasons in the Bitcoin space to be bullish and bearish. And Bitcoin started as a peer-to-peer cash system and a lot of stuff going on. But right now, no doubt that it has become a real ecosystem with a big sector in a business, in an industry. And definitely VCs and investment funds are definitely a part of it. So as a first, let's say an entrance, I would like you guys to introduce yourself. What do you do? We have Kush from Lightning Venture, Hiro from Lemniscap, and Jeffrey from HashKey Capital. Mike, to you, if you want to start first, and then go all the way, just for a quick introduction, please.
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, I'm Jeffrey from HashKey Capital. I'm leading research work there. So HashKey Capital is one of the largest crypto VC, starting like nearly 10 years ago. So we invested lots of the big projects, including Ethereum, Cosmos, Polkadot, and other big projects before. And we are still quite actively looking for new projects recently. And yeah, and also I myself am a contributor to the Bitcoin's Optech newsletter. So I'm also did lots of research work into this area. So happy to meet everyone here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Birken. Hi, everyone. I'm Khushboo Khullar, the venture partner at Lightning Ventures. So Lightning Ventures is a US-based VC firm. Our investment thesis is quite simple. We invest in Bitcoin companies. Until now, we have invested in over 40 plus Bitcoin companies. And this is for accredited investors. And for non-accredited investors, we do also have a crowdfunding platform. It's for US entities, but the investor could be from anywhere. So even if you are a non-accredited investor or an accredited investor, you can invest via Thunder Funder. And yes, happy to be here. Thank you, organizers, for orchestrating this wonderful event. Yeah.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Hiro. I'm with Lemniscap. I'm the head of research, and I also help with the investment team with different processes where I'm useful. But yeah, we're a pretty generalist firm, so we do invest across multiple ecosystems, including Ethereum, Solana, and so forth. And we've made a few investments in the Bitcoin ecosystem. I did publish a research paper on taproot assets and tokenization on Bitcoin. So I think this topic is interesting and basically looking for kind of new developments and investment opportunities in this space.
Thank you to our amazing hosts. I would like to start with the pretty general questions. As companies, as investment funds that you guys been around for a while, how do you see the Bitcoin ecosystem evolving, as well as the Lightning as well, since the Lightning protocol itself is something that it evolves each and every day. How do you see this process in compared, for example, to the last cycle?
Yeah. Okay, I think I will go first. And I think lots of things have changed in the recent years. Let's say from the particle side, so we have seen lots of discussion on the soft fork maybe to happen recently on the Bitcoin itself, like maybe OPCTV, OPCAT, or maybe something else. So that's on the particle side. So lots of people are really interested in looking forward to these things happen recently. So that's on the particle side. And also on other sides, like there's like the Lightning you have mentioned. So lots of new feature, I think, has already been added, including the About 12, and also some other new features, including the taproot assets and also RGB to integrate with Lightning. So that's kind of feature we can to issue multi-assets on the Bitcoin on the Lightning. So I think that's another quite new features for the Bitcoin also Lightning network. So that's several things, and also maybe another thing. Different from the infra side, I think we also have some change on the money side of the whole community and also user, like the current DAT is like coming for almost like several years. So I think that's another huge change for the Bitcoin assets and also the mindset of the community. So yeah, I think that's several things we have seen in the recent years.
Thank you, Kush. How do you see the market evolves and how do you see this process?
So in general, I would say, earlier we used to talk more about Bitcoin as a store of value or as a digital gold. That narrative has been now shifting towards, we are talking about now payments, we are talking about remittances. The infra is developing around it. We have full stack, we are talking about like L2s, we have Lightning, we have Arc, and others. And in fact, when stable coins did an announcement, I mean, Tether did an announcement in this year, January. They said we'll be integrating with Lightning now, and then RGB happened, in the same year. So the narrative is, an institution, the biggest factor is like, we come from this space, so we understand it, but for a layman or for a common person, when institutions get into this, they also are like, okay, they're catching the attention. So now we are talking about Bitcoin-backed loans. We are talking about tokenization and, in fact, treasuries. So, in fact, treasury and Bitcoin-backed loans are the flavor of this epoch. And 2024, we heard about ETFs. In fact, it's evolving because me and Jeffrey have been bumping into each other on more conferences. So this is a good sign when we are, when we go beyond just the store of value, when we are talking about the real use cases, and when we are, trying to figure out the challenges that TradFi or the traditional finance couldn't do, like the remittances or payments or micropayments, in fact, for that matter, in developing nations I'm talking about here. So if there are some startups, we have some startups in our portfolio which is addressing these problems. And I think when we have builders around it, I think the ecosystem is evolving.
Hiro, how do you see this process? How it evolves for you?
Yeah, I pretty much just have little to add on to all of that. But I think the amount of like idle value sitting in Bitcoin is a lot, right? So like if we can unlock, let's say, a quarter of that, essentially you unlock like 2x the liquidity in DeFi that's around right now. So I think there's a big opportunity there. And I see a lot of builders and projects now like, experimenting, pushing the edges of how to do that because it is a little bit harder than building on DeFi and other smart contract platforms. But I do think it's a solvable problem, especially for certain use cases, including payments, remittances, and so forth, but also for lending and tokenization and some basic DeFi protocols, which would basically, let you put that idle value to use. And even if it's just 10% of that, it's a large amount of liquidity to add to the whole DeFi pool.
Kush, I would like to go ahead with you a little bit. As an angel investor, you basically talked about Spark, Arc, and different other protocols. As an angel investor, where do you see the biggest trend right now as an investor?
Biggest trend right now for us would be the real use cases, as I mentioned before. I can give you an example like Khushboo, which is our portfolio company, is solving the problem of remittances. So, and in fact, there are other nations, Southeast Asian, East nations, and Latin America, as I mentioned, where the traditional finance couldn't help. The underbanked, in fact, someone like Aztec or Bitnob, what they are doing is wonderful. And anything, that helps to, I could say even tokenization, even DeFi. So this is what is catching up our attention. And also, we are also looking for, some moonshot projects. We always understand that we are not going after a speculative tokenomics. We understand, it's gonna take time. So when we invest from a perspective for like a 5-year. So as an angel investor, we're looking for something that has a real use case and has a biggest market sizing also. Yeah.
And starting by that, anytime you're going out there, for example, from startups, what are you expecting? What are your, let's say, main top requirements?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Well, when you go out there as an angel investor, what are your top requirements anytime you're looking to invest in a startup in the Bitcoin ecosystem?
Well, as an angel investor, as a fund, even as a crowdfunding platform, the top three most requirement is the pedigree of founder. If they know what they are building and for whom they are building, or they clearly know what problem they are solving. That's the first thing, because see, having a narrative of Bitcoin and having understanding of because end of the day, Bitcoin is also a business. So we just need, we are looking for first the clarity. They know what they're building and for whom they're building. Second, the most important stuff is, as I said, the use cases. That's something we go for, and we always support L2s, be it Liquid, be it Lightning. So that's our priority. And a bit of traction also, that's very important. You should know which market you are going with. So for example, if there's a startup that starts in Singapore and the next market they choose, say for example, Africa, that's a complete no-no. They need to understand the similar market. So we just try to understand the strategy, because it's a very, new ecosystem. So, I mean, the best we can do is help them out with the funds, as well as we have the advisory services also. So if they need hand holding, because end of the day, Bitcoin, when it comes to Bitcoin, this is our observation. People are mostly from a developer background, not from a business background. So we try our best to have a good amalgamation, and our job doesn't end only at funding, it starts over there. So if they need any introductions, if they need any market strategy, even if they want to expand to other markets, that is what we do.
Thank you, Khush. Appreciate that. Jeffrey, talking about HashKey Capital, which is more about an institutional VC, if I may say it that way. What does Bitcoin, what does have Bitcoin as a role in a crypto portfolio?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because I have a personal opinion on that. Actually, I think the Bitcoin, actually many people see it as maybe the biggest beta in the industry, but I myself maybe think Bitcoin may be the biggest alpha also in the industry right now. So because people are just seeing to pursue lots of the altcoin. Actually, I think there will be less people, or maybe I think there will be not too many people that can outperform the Bitcoin's own return in the long term. So probably you can just so people, I think that even today, I think still pay less attention on Bitcoin itself, but maybe to be distracted by some other things. So I think if you on the fund side, if you large enough, I think you still need to pay lots of attention on Bitcoin itself to see how much you can make your portfolios to allocate some amount of Bitcoin itself. So I think that will be helpful for the whole performance of the fund, whether your own wallet or maybe whether it's a fund or maybe it's a personal investment. So that's my personal opinion on that. So I think the Bitcoin should be, but in all, I think Bitcoin should be allocated more on the if you see Bitcoin is maybe is more like an alpha in the industry.
Thank you. And bonus question for me actually, what was to you again, Jeffrey? What was the speed up for you, especially after the ETF announcement last year? What was it like? What actually started for your VC, for HashKey Capital, that ETFs was announced?
Yeah, I think that's also great questions, because I think from my analysis, like for the last year's Bitcoin's performance, maybe in the first half of last year, I think the Bitcoin performance is largely pushed by the ETF, Bitcoin ETF last year, and maybe on the second half, I think the Bitcoin is being pushed by the lots of being promoted by the DAT, like by the MicroStrategy and other MetaPlanet and other DAT company in the second half, even until today, like this year. So lots of the Bitcoins buying power is actually from this kind of company. So as a HashKey Capital, I think we are also considering to put more resource into this area. So we are setting up a new DAT fund recently, so to put some allocations into the DAT projects. I think that's our recent focus on.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Hiro, would like to go ahead with you a little bit. And since Lemniscap, as per my study, is actually has an action range which is pretty worldwide. What are the main differences that you see when you're looking to basically take an action to different parts of the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are strong projects coming out around the world, but there's like some cultural differences. Like we see a lot of interest in the Bitcoin L2 space in Asia, right? A lot of these new projects coming out here. I think Asia is a bit more like, feels less conservative, very sort of aggressively toward the future sort of driven, which is exciting. So, you know, you see a lot of creativity there. But yeah, in terms of, I mean, more conventional adoption, Lightning adoption, stronger in the West compared to Asia currently. I think I want to see overall though, like the more actually push on the marketing and business side, because I think on technical development, there's a lot of strong teams in the Bitcoin ecosystem, but from our perspective, I mean, obviously we do investments. It's really important to see the business side, see potential revenues, see potential buybacks, the kind of things that we see in other ecosystems that make projects attractive. And when we start to see that, I do think there's going to be a few very strong like blue chip, you could say L2 or extension, DeFi sort of extension, built on top of Bitcoin as a global settlement layer that are going to make, basically take a massive share of the market eventually.
From a technology perspective, since you mentioned Asia, sorry, from a technology perspective, what is the main interest right now that you're looking to as an investor in Asia?
I mean, me personally, I'm excited about the developments around taproot assets. One of the things, I mean, we generally make token deals, right? So in BC, I mean, a lot of Bitcoin infrastructure, the technology may be exciting, but it only offers an equity deal. And as a token-based sort of investment, there is sort of an attractive or an alternative upside if we can do that. So taproot assets, yeah, opens up the doors for projects to kind of start being creative in the Bitcoin ecosystem about having their own token, issuing it on Bitcoin as a taproot asset, and also deploying it on the Lightning Network.
Thank you. Since we're, as we all mentioned Bitcoin a lot of times, that was actually the goal, because like we tried to keep this event as much as Bitcoin and Lightning as we could. So thank you for that. I would like to go ahead with a general question to all of you. You're investors, right? So this is actually a question that I've been asking to other VCs as well, all over Europe as well. There's some classic question that has been asked, right? Like, why do you basically invest in the Bitcoin ecosystem in Bitcoin startups rather than just stacking Bitcoin? So my automatic question would be, what are the main risks for you guys that when you're looking out there to invest on Bitcoin startups or in general for Bitcoin ecosystem companies? If you want to go ahead, Jeffrey, and then all the way.
Okay. Actually, I think maybe there's been some risk on this the Bitcoin startups. Maybe the people, the startup team have to think very carefully. So how they can do their business related to the Bitcoin itself. Whether like maybe you just like Hiro just mentioned, if there's to launch a token, there has to be some meaningful ideas for that token. But if not, so the team has to think very clearly about how their business model, how their revenue model, so how you can generate the fund doing startup just upon the Bitcoin itself. So I think that's maybe something we will see before we put some investment onto that Bitcoin project. But besides that, actually, I think Bitcoin project has its own advantage comparing with other ecosystem, because itself can like on one side, Bitcoin can provide the most security in the industry, and also it can put they can have the scalabilities and also quite dedicated the applications on the payment just upon if you build upon the Lightning Network. So I think that's the kind of the advantage you cannot have in some other ecosystem. I think that's the reason why we still want to see more innovative projects in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Yeah.
Kush?
I would say the biggest risk are from a standpoint of regulation and compliance. That's the biggest risk. I mean, you might be operating in a developed nation, that's fine. Once you enter into developing nation or other nation where, I don't want to name anyone, but, something comes up and the whole business goes for a toss. Second is, it's a new ecosystem. So there are just few use cases where the founders have cracked the product market fit, they know the product solution fit. But there are other challenges where they are still figuring out what will work and what will not. What worked in one market can't work in another market. So that's a risk. And also, there are several challenges. And I think, end of the day, higher the risk, higher the reward. That's what the fund looks at. So we are betting on the fundamentals, the foundation. So that's the reward for us. And thirdly, as any other fund, and any other technology, there's a technological adoption curve. So everyone has to go through that. It takes time for users to adopt that, and you have to cross the chasm. So I think it's similar for us as well.
Thank you, Hiro.
Yeah, I think probably, in my view, the biggest risk is like the assumptions we make in advance when making investments in this ecosystem. So, in my opinion, a lot of the early stage investment opportunities that we would be interested in depend on Bitcoin's programmability actually, kind of fulfilling the vision that a lot of people are talking about now. But it looks like it's it's a long scale project, and there's not certainty whether it's actually going to happen, right? So we have to be really careful about the quality of the teams building there, the feasibility, not only at the technical angle, but also in terms of attracting liquidity onto these platforms that make it a realistic future to see a programmable Bitcoin with Bitcoin as the basically settlement layer for lots of different projects.
I was talking with a friend last day, and he got a Bitcoin startup, and he's been telling to me which is more difficult to be funded as a Bitcoin startup compared to other blockchain startups such as Ethereum, Solana, because basically they don't issue basically the token, and they don't do the classic game that we've seen in the last years. Is it something that, as an investors, you value that? Is it true, or you just basically evaluate other stuff, and then this doesn't reflect a limit for you guys?
Sorry, can yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the question is that, is it true that it's more difficult to be funded as a Bitcoin startup rather than if you're a startup from any other blockchain?
Well, I think to some extent, maybe it's true, just like I mentioned. So if you just build upon the Bitcoins and just to raise the do the fundraising just based on the equity. So I think if you're talking with to a crypto VC, very crypto native VC, so probably the VCs will be just maybe prefer to the token round, so that we like to ask the team to issue token, so that we can VC can have better exit strategy on that. But I think the thing have been changed recently, since you can see lots of the like on the stock market, like Nasdaq and other stock market. I think they are more welcoming the crypto-related company to be IPO recently. So we also have some portfolio company to considering that. So I think through this kind of vehicle, or maybe through other kind of vehicle like the data, or maybe some kind of financial vehicles, I think the things will change. I think like maybe on the stock market, it can even have better liquidity than the like some centralized exchange recently. So I think things may be changed, and then this kind of the startup can have better fundraising situation in the future.
Kush, do you think so?
Okay. Instead of me stating something general, I would say if yes, of course, because why I say that, because if you look at the number of VCs in Bitcoin native startups who are funding just Bitcoin, there are just few handful I can count on my finger.
True.
If I look at crypto VCs or Web3 VCs, it's a lot of numbers. Nothing against them. But if you see the trend, now it's been falling and people are realizing that, okay, in Web3 or crypto, you see a fad every 6 months, every year, but Bitcoin has been constant. It's the fundamentals that we are betting on. That's what we understand. And secondly, the fund size. If you look at the fund size of Bitcoin startup, it's still, not that big. But if you look at the fund size of other traditional VCs or traditional, tech startups, it's huge. So I don't want to blame the ecosystem over here. It's just that when we have more companies which are making, billion-dollar profits, something like Tether or something like Fold, when they get publicly listed, when we have more Bitcoin treasuries, when we have, companies giving more jobs, when we have MicroStrategy, something like that, then you need not to, do anything about it. The people just follows, Like Jeff Booth from Egodet Capital stated this, that being a Bitcoin VC, you just keep on doing your work, and if you can have something, on a public domain where you can see, okay, this company is making money, the fundamentals are great, people will follow. People will not go after a trend or not go after a speculative tokenomics that works for a bit of time. You can see through it. So, and I think once you have more VCs coming into this space, once you have more innovators, developers, then I think there will be a shift and more institution coming into this space. In fact, I have a question for you, Jeffrey. Oh. You have presence in Hong Kong and Singapore. ETF happened in Hong Kong. When is it gonna happen in Singapore?
Actually, I'm not sure, because the market is quite different in this. I think this is still in these different regions. Yeah, so I'm not sure if there's. I hope so. Like maybe there will be some more ETF in different regions of the world, so that all maybe the traders or the investors in different regions, they can participate in this area and buy some Bitcoins through the ETF. So that's one of my hope. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, and in fact, we're just solving the problem that traditional finance couldn't solve. So we are just building more use cases. It's for unbanked. It's for, I don't want to name any specific country, but everybody is going through an inflation problem. The currency is getting devalued. So I need not to pitch Bitcoin. The use case is there. Go ahead, get the fundamentals right. And we are in the right place then.
Kush, I can tell that you do a lot of moderation as well, because you already spoiled one of my next question already. So I would like to, who better than you guys to talk about the Bitcoin treasury companies, which is like, I would say, it wouldn't be wrong if we would say that it's the trendy thing, it's the narrative of this cycle. I would like to start from you, Hiro. Bitcoin treasury companies. How how much is that important for you guys as investors?
I mean, we don't focus a lot on that. Like, I think that it's good for Bitcoin, good for Bitcoin. I mean, because these companies are buying a lot right now. But I think the larger picture is we see that basically there's more mainstream institutional adoption, acceptance of Bitcoin, and with that, I think there's going to be some sort of like transitions too in terms of how to view the startups in this space. So we tend to focus on startups and early projects, and I think that basically there's more and more opportunities as TradFi and Web2 gets more involved in this space, fintech, traditional fintech, so forth, to look at companies that have possibilities for alternative exits through acqui-hires, acquisitions, and so forth. So if it's not going to be like a tokenization, new token issuance on Bitcoin or something like that, we become more kind of like open to looking at these alternatives because of the basically the generalization of acceptance toward Bitcoin.
Kush, you mentioned Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. So how much is important to you guys, the Bitcoin treasury companies?
Oh, okay. I mean, from an institutional perspective, it's very important. We don't invest in treasury company. But if I have to look at any treasury company, I look for not just the narrative, but for the underlying business. If you have the underlying business, great. And I prefer treasury companies because they're highly regulated, audited as well. They bring in fresh capital. The jobs get in. So I think I'm quite optimistic about it if you have an underlying business.
Yeah, I think the treasury company provides a better way even than ETF for the institutional investors to get exposures on Bitcoin. So because investor can doing some leverage tradings on the Bitcoins through this kind of treasury company, so they can. But because on the centralized exchange, I think institutions are very hard to get to do this kind of trading. But if you just buy some treasury company, I think this in some kind or maybe somehow this institution just to buy the Bitcoin in a leveraged way. So I think that's provide a better way for institutions to get exposure on that. And besides that, I agree with Kush that if this company can have some business under that, like maybe doing the Lightning on the Lightning network can have more yield on the Bitcoin just based on Bitcoin. So that can give the shareholders more Bitcoins based on their like the Bitcoin per shares is getting higher for the shareholders. I think that is a better way for the Bitcoin holders. But I think we still, but on the other side, I think we still need to be careful because maybe if the investor just gets used to this kind of form to hold Bitcoin, but not to hold their Bitcoin in their wallet, I think that could be somehow should be a problem. But maybe in the long run, things can change.
I would love to keep going to talk about this because I love the investment side, and it's also thanks to companies like you guys that the ecosystem grows. But I'm being warned that I've been told that I'm about to get to end. So my last question will be to all of you: how do you see the venture capital ecosystem growing in the next 5 years?
I think, well, lots of the venture capital, we're still seeing the Bitcoins, whether it's a Bitcoin native or Bitcoin ecosystem, I think there will be more projects in the next 3 to 5 years because given we have lots of things are happening on the Bitcoin protocols, on Bitcoins, on the Lightning networks, lots of things are happening. I do believe there's more startup, more projects to come up in the next few years.
Please.
Yeah, I agree, and I answered it before also. We need more funds, we need more VCs into this space, and Bitcoin is Internet 2.0. So the same curve we are following, and I'm very optimistic about it. And yeah, and I agree with Jeffrey here.
Your call.
VC, like in general, or before Bitcoin ecosystem?
Yeah, I would prefer Bitcoin ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think pretty much similar to what I said before. I think a lot of people have the same I mean, a lot of VCs like have the same basic assumption, which is that if you can get some DeFi working on Bitcoin or some ways to earn yield on Bitcoin, then obviously a lot of people would want to do that instead of just holding their Bitcoin idly. So the better kind of protocols that prove their security, that prove their usability and so forth, and do like the right sort of marketing to the broader crypto community, because right now I feel like Bitcoin kind of stands apart from the other rest of the community, but it's all part of this game for better or worse. As Kush mentioned, a lot of the VC capitals kind of allocated in other ecosystems much more than Bitcoin right now. So I think that the more sort of integration with the broader ecosystem that happens, the more you're going to see this sort of mutual flow across these ecosystems.
Thank you, Hiro. Thank you all for coming. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.